Well, if you guys have ever thought about building your own roller crimper, something you could pull with the four-wheeler or ATV, I think you guys are going to like this video because that's exactly what I did. I actually just built this, and last night my dad and I tried it out on some standing rye, and it worked beautifully, you guys. It terminated that rye just exactly how you want to. So in this video, I'm going to show you step by step what I did, how I made this, and then we'll test it out on that rye, and I'll show you guys how that worked. So the first thing that you need to start with is a chunk of log. You need to find a good round tree that you can cut down with your chainsaw. Now I lucked out because I actually have a logger thinning red pine on our land, so there was some extra red pine logs laying around. And the thing that worked really well here is that you can buy this metal stock, this angle iron right here. You can buy this in 4-foot lengths at the hardware store or Menards, any kind of store like that. And so that 4 feet is actually the same width as the tire the wheelbase on my four-wheeler, and I wanted my roller crimper to span the whole wheelbase on my four-wheeler. So that 4-foot measurement worked out perfect. I cut my log down to 4 feet, and then I cleaned up all these edges, areas where there were branches on the log, to get the barrel of this log as smooth as I possibly could. I wanted to make it as round of a cylinder as possible. So after that, I went to the hardware store and bought all my parts. Now all the metal on this I just bought, you guys, the other day between Menards and a hardware store. You're going to want to get yourself this metal stock here. This is just thin stock with holes in it that's perforated. This was actually one piece that I just cut in half just to beef up the strength on the sides here. I went and bought a metal spacer. This is just a plumbing spacer that comes this size. And then I went and bought a couple of large washers and a great big lag screw. This is a 10-inch lag screw right here. Then I went and bought 5 pieces of this angle iron. This is just 2-inch flange, 1/8-inch diameter angle iron right here. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is sink your pilot holes in for your big lag screw. This is essentially your axle or your spindle. I went and got a drill bit and drilled myself a pilot hole. I took some measurements on this log. This is about a 10-inch log here, and I found the very center of this log. That's a key, you guys. When you drill your pilot hole for your big lag screw, you want to make sure you're dead in the center of that log or it won't roll right. After that, I assembled the washer on the lag screw. I put my side arms on, then the metal spacer, and then the last washer, and I screwed that whole assembly into the end of the log. Now a couple keys with this, you guys. You need to make sure that you don't over tighten this screw. You don't want tight friction on this. This is essentially your axle. Now there's no bearings on this at all. It's just this screw right here, this great big lag screw, spinning freely inside these holes, this perforated stock metal here. That's how this thing rolls, is it's just free spinning metal on metal contact. I did take a drill bit and ream out this end hole a little bit, just to get a little bit more play in there so that this log could freely spin around the screw. Okay, so the next thing I did was I laid out my metal angle iron pieces. These are the fins or the flanges that are actually doing the crimping. I cut all of the corners on these that are going to be sticking up. I cut them all at a 45. The reason I did that was because I didn't want the arms on my roller crimper to hook the corner of this angle iron if I was trying to turn the four-wheeler or drive in a circle. It's putting stress and strain on this side to side, and I didn't want to hook these corners, so I put a chamfer on them. That's also the reason I put this metal spacer in here, was to get these arms out away from the side of the log so that we never make contact as this log is rolling. It never comes into contact with the side arms. Then I drilled pilot holes, 5 of them in each one. I'm going to start with this smaller one right here, and then I'm going to move up to this bigger one. These are the screws that I got. These are just, I think these are 3.5 heavy duty screws. And I just want to make sure that I'm not going to really beat up or damage the threads when I'm drilling them through the metal. So I'm just picking a drill bit that just barely is big enough to fit this screw, the flights of the screw through it. Now the key with your actual blades on your roller crimper is you want them about 7 inches apart. So 7 inches from here to here. Now mine ended up being about 7.5, maybe 8 inches apart, but that's okay. The key is you just want to make sure that when you're roller crimping your cover crop, that you get these fins to hit that plant in a couple spots. When you kink the plant, like winter rye or buckwheat or whatever your cover crop is, that's what kills the plant, is where you kink it with these blades. So if your blades are too far apart, you might risk not kinking those plants enough as you go over them. 5 of these pieces of angle iron about did it for me with perfect spacing around here. Then I got some big aggressive 3-inch construction screws, some heavy duty ones, and I put 5 big screws into each metal flange. Then I came over here. I had some treated 2x4s on hand at home. I just cut these down to length, screwed them in on the ends here, and I actually built a platform right here in case I want to put weight on this. Now this is something I'm going to play around with a little bit, but this log is green, so it's really heavy, and there's quite a bit of metal on here. It doesn't look like a lot in the video, but this thing is really heavy right now, and there's a ton of weight pounding down on each one of these pieces of angle iron when I pull this thing. And so I feel like I'm getting a good termination without additional weight, but I have the ability to add cinder blocks on here or sandbags and then just bungee them down if I want to. But that's why I built my platform here. I'm gonna have to play around with that a little bit to make sure I get enough weight on this and enough downward pressure to properly crimp the cover crop. For the tongue of the trailer here, I just bought a piece of 1-inch square metal tubing at the hardware store. Super simple, bolted it into my 2x4s, and I actually use eyelets on this just so that I could hook bungees onto these eyelets if I ever wanted to help bungee down sandbags or cinder blocks if I ever want to add weight to this. All right, now let's go try this thing out and see how it works. Alright you guys, so there you have it. That is the roller crimper that I built. The log was entirely free. I did go to the hardware store and buy the metal hardware that you see on here, but it was really minimal cost, you guys. It was kind of a fun project. I was able to do rather quick. It didn't take me a ton of time, and I feel like I have a really high quality product right here that's gonna work well for me. I'm gonna be crimping more winter rye and buckwheat with this. And I'm just thrilled with the results, you guys. I really like the design of this thing. The weight feels right. And again, the best part is it was easy to make and super low cost. So if you guys are interested in learning more about how I made this, if you have any specific questions, drop me a question down below in the comments. I'll answer every comment. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. And until next time, you guys, take care.